Hey guys, Sydney here, and welcome back to At the Table. And we are continuing our conversation with National Financial Literacy Month. So last time we talked all about really helping to teach your kids some different skills with financial literacy, learning finances, learning about saving and budgeting and all of those things. Today, I'm going to kind of target more of the adults. So we also here at the Extension office teach about digital literacy, which is simply just anything in the digital age. So maybe it's using social media or how to use your email, or it can be even further than that. But myself and another coworker kind of split those duties, and we help to teach that throughout the county every now and then throughout the month. So I thought, why not tie that into our financial literacy? Because so much of our finances is managed through digital platforms, whether it's online banking, there are apps that you can use, there are just tons of different things, and the scammers are out there as well, and especially with all of the digital stuff these days. So we're going to talk about all of that to maybe help you stay safe, be mindful of how people are going to try to access your information, and then ways to make sure that you keep yourself safe and secure, while also trying to manage your budget, and tools that will help you in that area as well. So we'll start with some recipes. So of course we got to get cooking before we can even dive into all of that. I have two different recipes today, and trying to avoid having to run to the sink. There we go. And our two different recipes, one is from a cookbook that we have here at the Extension office. It's called Cooking with Steps to Health. We don't really use that cookbook a ton anymore. It's a little bit older, but this is one of those recipes that has been here since I've been here, which I'm going on 9 years. And it's a really good one. So I figured, why not? Our Steps to Health program is all about helping you save money. So this recipe is definitely something that very simple to make, cost effective, won't cost a lot of money, and it tastes good. So what I'm doing now, I just have half a pound of ground pork. So I picked this today because I have found myself gravitating towards this a little bit more at the grocery store, simply because sometimes I just don't want ground turkey or chicken, and the leaner ground beef can be very expensive still. So this ground pork, I'll be able to hold it up for you guys, but I found it at Food Lion, and it is 90% lean. So it's still, to me, anything 90 and above is pretty lean, a pretty good choice when you're looking at your ground meats. And it still has good flavor. So if you're looking for something just a little bit different, you could try the ground pork. It's usually, I think, between $3 and $4 for a pound, which is more affordable to me than the ground beef a lot of the time. So just another option for you I wanted you guys to know about, that you have access to at the grocery store. Okay, so while that is cooking, most of these steps are throwing it in the skillet. So I'm going to try to beef it up and do some of it right here so that you guys are not just seeing me stand here and stir sausage or stir pork. So we just have some egg noodles here, 8 ounces of egg noodles. And I'm going to go ahead and add my seasonings in here, and then we'll dump it all in the pan together. So we have a little bit of parsley, oregano, and Italian seasoning. So we're doing about half a teaspoon of parsley. I'm just going to eyeball here. Personally, I don't feel like you can really go wrong with these seasonings in general. We've got about half a teaspoon of oregano as well. And then our majority of our seasoning is going to be in our Italian seasoning here, which this is a tablespoon. Doing a little extra. And basically that's all that we can do at this moment while this finishes cooking. Okay, so to talk a little bit about our financial literacy, specifically in the digital world. Of course, nowadays, to keep up with our money, we can check the website where our bank is with, or you might even have an app to do that. While most of these are really secure ways that we can do this, there's a few tools that you have in your toolbox to help you with making sure that you're secure whenever you're going on these sites. For one, if you ever get a call that's asking you about your bank information, asking you personal questions, do not answer. Your bank would likely not call you that way. And a lot of times it would be, they might, even if they email you, they're not going to be emailing you and asking for that private information like that. So best case is to hang up with whoever has called you and call your actual bank, and ask them if they were trying to speak to you. And that will help to, of course, keep you safe in that capacity. So we actually do need to take a quick break. So while this is finishing up, I'm going to take a quick break and I will see you guys back in just a second.
Providing fewer commutes, more backyard offices, and crystal clear meetings. Providing less, you froze up, and more presence in your presentations. Providing a better internet experience. Providing possible.
Hey guys, welcome back. So our ground pork looks pretty much done. Our recipe actually says to drain our pork and return it to pan. We don't have any fat. So because this is pretty lean, we don't have any issues with really needing to drain it. Looks good. We're gonna go ahead and add our next couple things. So we have a can of diced tomatoes. This is no salt added. We're gonna use the liquid as well, so we're not draining this. And then I already did my seasonings in here, which when we add our pasta, it will all kind of cook together. So we have 1 1/4 cups of water as well. And basically we want to bring this to a boil. So I'm gonna turn it up. I'll probably go ahead and throw my lid on and turn it up a little bit so it starts to boil. And when that happens, we'll add in our pasta. So this is another 1 skillet dish, just like we did that Southwest chicken skillet, and it was all in one pan. Same thing here, which is really great, especially if you also don't want to have a lot of time to clean dishes afterwards. It just keeps it all in one pot. And you've got a 1-pot meal, so you don't feel like you have to have something else with it. So if I were to want to fluff this up, I always talk about adding vegetables. Again, you can add whatever vegetables you want. This is an easy lasagna, so a lot of times we don't have tons of vegetables in lasagna other than your sauce and like your, that's pretty much it. It's just your sauce and your tomatoes possibly. So you could add some peppers in here. You could add some onions. Those always go really well with Italian dishes. Even eggplant. So some of our squashes would taste pretty good in here. And since it's all kind of just mixed together, rather than having to do an actual lasagna where you have to layer it, it takes so much time and effort, it's all kind of mixed all in one together anyway. So, you could do any vegetables that you enjoy and maybe hide them a little bit kind of in your sauce, so to speak. So we're gonna let that boil. We are using egg noodles. I just grabbed whatever we had in our pantry here at the extension office already. So these are white egg noodles. You could choose whole wheat if you wanted to, and that would be a better option, of course, for doing, more whole grains. But like I said last time, as long as half of our grains are whole, we are doing good. So we're doing pretty well. You could also do half and half if you're not a huge fan of whole grain. So we're already boiling, as you can see. Stovetop can get real hot. So I'm gonna dump this in with my seasonings and stir it all together. And this will just cook. We're gonna turn it down and cook it on medium heat for about 15 minutes. So we are gonna move on over to our other side in just a second. Let me get this all stirred together. So I'm gonna cover it, turn it down to medium-high heat, and we'll let it cook. So we'll scoot on over here. The other recipe that we have, these are called peachy pops. So this is from our More in My Basket program. So if you are SNAP eligible, if you're eligible for food stamps, or even if you are just looking to save a little bit of money, they have really great resources for you. So this is off of their website. It is called morefood.org. I've mentioned them before. And these are called peachy pops. So if you have frozen peaches, this is really great as we get into summer and it gets nice and hot. Then you could also use fresh peaches. The recipe calls for 2 peaches. So we're just kind of gonna eyeball a little bit here. So I'm gonna get out my peaches. And I'm eyeballing, so I feel like that might be a peach. Probably just use this whole bag, truth be told. A little stem in there. And we're gonna just cut this up. I do still like to check sometimes to make sure that there aren't any stems or anything like that in there as well, because sometimes that will give you a bad crunch into something and it, rubs you the wrong way. We don't want that to happen. These are really great for kids as well. They're basically yogurt pops that we're gonna be throwing into the freezer. So when it gets really warm, already been experiencing some super warm days, this will be a nice snack for you to have. So when we're talking about scams online, for one, a way for you to check that the website is a good resource is if it has HTTPS. That means secure, and that means that that it is a safe, secure site. You also should see a lock in that browser bar that's telling you that it is nice and secure. So check both of those things when you are on, especially like a banking website, any website you're going to be entering in your credit card information, things like that. That will help to make sure that you're safe. Also, there are some websites that will have a second source that says like very verified source, and it will have like different terms that tell you that it is a safe source. So see if they have that seal. It's a certification that they can get to be extra safe. So those 2 things, when you're just going to a website, those things can help you to make sure that you're in a safe spot. So we've got those cut up. We're gonna take another break and we'll start putting these peach pops together in just a second. Hey guys, Sydney here, and we are doing a little survey that I hope that you guys can be a part of. So it's a quick survey. There's a QR code here that you can scan with your phone. What you're gonna be winning, we are gonna do a raffle where you can win a fancy knife set. So this is a knife set that I use. It's top of the line. I give it to all my volunteers, and I'm gonna be raffling at the end. So please complete our survey. Won't take much time, I promise, and we thank you for having us on At the Table. Hey guys, welcome back. Have our peaches cut up. I've got our cups all ready. This makes 6 pops. So we're just spooning these into the bottom. To kind of continue what we were talking about before, that seal that I was talking about, VeriSign Trust E, or Trusted Site certifications are what you will see. And those mean that the business has went through a verification process. So if you see any of those, that means that they have an extra security, extra verification to verify that they are secure. So some other things that, of course, you can do to protect your finances when you're doing things online. You always hear to make a nice strong password. So this means best case, you use that password only with that site. So you don't use the same password over and over. You are using one password with one site, another password with another site. And I think even Google now has some tools that will help to tell you, hey, this password's too common, or, a site has been accessed that had this password, and that password's also associated with all of these other accounts. So there are other things that are in place, which is why that would be a lot more safe for you. But I get that we can't always remember a ton of different passwords. So if you struggle with that, I understand. Use something else. There's two-factor authentication, which is a lot of times where they will make you require you to have a text message that's sent to you, and you have to put in a number to verify that it's you. Sometimes they send you an email and you have to click on your email to verify that it's you. So sites that are using those two-factor authentication tools are extremely helpful, and they can absolutely help to make sure that you are secure. And then the last thing is to use a secure Wi-Fi. So don't go to these random places and hop on their Wi-Fi networks. That is extremely dangerous. Just don't do it. Don't do it, okay? All right, so I'm gonna work on our yogurt here. So this is just low-fat vanilla yogurt. Does have some sugar in it, of course, but not much, and we're spreading it across 6 pops. So we want 2/3 of a cup of yogurt. And you want a big bowl, and something that has a pour spout is even better for this, so that you can make sure you can just pour right into your cups very simply. So I'm gonna pour that in, and then we have some orange juice. So very simple. This has 3 ingredients, which is great. So we need 2 cups here. And we're just gonna mix all of this together. Now, our recipe calls for us to use paper cups. This is just what I had in my cabinet here at work. Paper cups would probably be easier to remove the paper, but plastic should also be the same. And it does take a little while for it to, of course, freeze. So just keep that in mind. If you're making these, it's not something you can make and then eat immediately. It's gonna have to freeze. So making these overnight, maybe you make a batch for the week, any of that is good. All right, so I'm just mixing all my yogurt together really well. And now I'm gonna try to evenly pour them into my cups. I may have a little bit more peaches here with this one than I really needed, but hey, can you go wrong with too many peaches? As long as your cup is big enough, it should work, right? So if you have like a little mold, then that would probably be even better for you to make this. Those things that are reusable are fantastic, especially if you have kiddos you're making a lot of treats like this for. You could do a variety of things with that. But if you're like me and you don't have that stuff yet, it's okay. You can make do, and we will do it this way. All right, so those look pretty even. All that we do next, take some aluminum foil, and instead of putting the whole spoon through, I was just kind of sticking the end of my spoon, and then you just cover. It helps to make sure it doesn't leak everywhere. You don't have funky flavors that are going on in there. Sometimes there can be funky flavors going on in your freezer you don't realize. So we want to stick that spoon as far as we can to the bottom, and that will kind of be what we hold the pop with once it's all done. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish these up, and we'll see you guys back in just a second to do our skillet.
When it comes to new, liquidated, and overstocked merchandise at unbeatable prices, look no further than J&B Liquidations. Shop our warehouse for discounts 40 to 90% off home goods, furniture, pet, baby, toys, tools, and more. We have just what Mom wants this Mother's Day at J&B Liquidations. Open to the public Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m.
Hey guys, welcome back. So we have our Pops, Peachy Pops in the freezer. It does say it takes about 6 hours. I made a batch early just to test it out and also make sure that they could freeze in time so you guys can see the finished product. But they have only been in there for about 3 hours and they're not quite done. I will say though, they would still be very good if you want them more like a slushie rather than an actual pop that you're gonna like lick like that. So just some options for you on that recipe, but it will take a good bit for them to freeze. So we have our pasta over here, looking good, smells delicious. And what we're gonna add next, we have some cottage cheese. So instead of doing ricotta, we are doing cottage cheese. I love cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is definitely having a moment right now, I think, in the health world, where folks are just adding it to everything and helping to beef up a little bit of that protein in a dish, but it also helps us to reduce some of the fat. So we just have 12 ounces. This was a 16-ounce container. I just kind of eyeballed, and I did go ahead and turn off my stovetop because this stove gets so warm. So you do just kind of want to let that melt for maybe 5 minutes or so. Honestly, this is so warm, it's already melting pretty well. Just for time's purposes, I'm going to go ahead and start to add in my cheese as well. So we have just some mozzarella cheese over here. Put this lid back on. And we're just doing, we need 2 cups, which ends up being a whole entire bag of mozzarella cheese. We're gonna do 1.5 of those cups in our mixture here. So it'll be nice and cheesy. Of course, lasagna is nice and cheesy. And then we'll use the last half cup to just sprinkle on the top. This is kind of a lot of cheese. I feel like you could easily scale back if you wanted to. So up to you. A lot of people are going to say, no, I want all the cheese, right? And we'll just stir that up. So this dish, because we're using low-fat pork, we're using low-fat cottage cheese, mozzarella is naturally lower in fat. It is going to be not quite as high in terms of your saturated fat content as like a more traditional lasagna might be. So just stirring that up, we're gonna let it sit for just a minute or two. The last couple things that I did wanna mention in terms of our financial literacy and kind of that digital age, there are also some really great tools. We've kind of talked about scams and phishing and all of that that you might get. But there are also some really great tools that you can use to help you budget. So I know there's tons of apps that are out there that you can actually connect all of your accounts to, your credit cards or debit cards to show. And I think even you can connect sometimes like a car payment, things like that. And it'll show all of your assets, kind of what the value that you have, where you are at in the red, and you can set goals. So you can set a goal for how much money you want to spend on groceries, how much money you want to spend on utility bills, or bills in general, things like that. So it does really help you, because if we have that credit card, debit card these days, and we just can swipe so easily, it helps you to be more mindful of what you're spending and pay a little bit more attention to it. So that is an excellent way for you to manage your finances if you're comfortable with using one of those apps. Also, some of our bank accounts these days can also connect to other accounts and show what your overall balance is and all of that. They also oftentimes have your credit score links in there as well. And previously, we were always scared to check our credit score because we thought it would damage our credit score, but that is not actually the case. So you can, if it's connected, you can see it on your bank account, and it'll show you what your credit score is, and you can be a little bit more mindful of where you fall with your credit score and things that you can do to help boost that credit score. So if any of this is interesting to you, absolutely seek out a financial advisor. They can help with your specific situation, your accounts, all of that, and look at the whole big picture and help you. But if you need help specifically on saving a little bit of money, maybe making a budget, developing a household budget, things like that, I'm happy to fill in that capacity. So please reach out to me for that. All right, last thing that I'm adding here, this looks so good already. We're just gonna sprinkle a little bit of cheese on top so that we have that nice kind of melty layer. And we want that to melt. And that is it. Way simpler than doing an entire lasagna. So if you are enjoying the show, I mentioned last time we are doing a survey. This fancy little gadget here is what you will get as our raffle prize. So this is a Mercer Knife Set. Absolutely love Mercer, that it is a high-end brand. It is what we typically get at most of our trainings with Extension. And this is what I tend to pass out to my Master Food volunteers who've completed the entire training and done all of their volunteer hours. So if you open it up, you will see it's got a little flap here that protects your knives. It's also got some pockets here, but then you have all of the knives that you can ever need in life. And these suckers stay nice and sharp, I absolutely promise you. So you will be winning this. This is what I'm going to be raffling off based on my surveys. So please, please, please complete our survey. I've got a QR code. Just take your phone, turn on the camera, and hold it up, and you'll see a little link pop at the bottom. I'll also put it on our website if you want to fill it out there. This helps me to just keep up with how the show is doing, how you're enjoying it, and any changes we need to make in the future. We also, because I work for the state, it helps us in our reporting to show what we are doing in our job and if we're making an impact. So I hope that you will do this, mostly for me, but maybe a little bit for the knife set too. So please fill that out. We thank you so much. I will see you guys next time on At the Table.